The theme, Bache Do Hi Ache, first of all was very brief, it was very pungent, and that is why it became easily recallable. The words were very powerful, and the reason why they are still recalled is, number one, that this was the first time someone in media and public discourse was using the term about specifying the number of children per family. This had never happened before, number one. Second, this campaign began in the 1960s, when under President Ayub Khan, despite the fact that it was a military-led dictatorship, there were some commendable actions taken for social reform. For example, the Family Law Ordinance, which for the first time gave a married woman the power to decide whether her husband was entitled to a second marriage. She had to sign a consent form. Now, even if we think that a first wife could be coerced or literally beaten into submission and asked to sign, at least symbolically, it represented a major step forward. So, as part of social reform, President Ayub Khan and his colleagues in cabinet realized that both East Pakistan and West Pakistan were growing at a rate that could become very dangerous for balance. At that time, remember that the population of East Pakistan was more than West Pakistan. But even West Pakistan, with a much larger territory, faced these increasing densities in the cities and the towns. Whereas in East Pakistan, which is virtually one of the most densely populated cities on the whole planet, the impact of population was much more visible. So it was an all-Pakistani appeal at that time. In keeping perhaps with the authoritarian dimension of a government that was led by a military man, it was somewhat dictatorial to tell people that you should have 2 children. Bache Do Hi Ache. When someone else is telling you, you should have 2 children. Now, that is not very sensitive or respectful to everyone's sense of privacy and autonomy, because every family, and particularly हम जैसे मर्द बदमाश, हम चाहेंगे कि जी हम फैसला करेंगे कि हमारे कितने बच्चे हों, आप कौन होते हैं बोलने वाले, क्योंकि वो तो है ना कि अगर अल्लाह हमें बख्शता है 2 हाथों के साथ, तो 2 हाथ भी होते हैं. अगर एक बच्चा आता है तो उसके साथ 2 हाथ भी लाता है जो काम कर सकता है, पैदावार बढ़ा सकता है वगैरह. So the reason why it did not go forward was not to do necessarily with this aspect of the tone of the theme, but the fact that the infrastructure in terms of health and services did not enable an average family, a newly married couple, to easily access those family planning services. Because historically, in Pakistan, the value of primary health care, grassroots-based, community-oriented health care, has come very, very belatedly. And even now, it has not yet taken root across the country. It has historically been a top-down approach. The idea of building big hospitals or clinics and expecting that these will meet the needs of people, which is exactly the opposite of what should have happened. Because primary health care means starting with the physical conditions in which most people live, adapting healthcare services to the reality of villages, towns, slums, unplanned settlements, and providing those services in consonance with those realities. So, the reason why Bache Do Hi Ache did not prove to be ultimately very persuasive or effective was the lack of cohesion between what was being said and what was available on the ground in terms of actual health services, particularly for women who bore the brunt of early child marriage, too many children, not enough of a gap between children, so that they were forced to produce children after every 1 year or 2 years or so on. So all those reasons combined. This was before the time when I joined advertising full time. So I can't recall the name of a particular person who formulated this particular theme, but certainly it deserves research and identification, and I think due credit should be given to those team members who put that campaign together.